Today we're going to talk about how to create a pattern that's repeating in Illustrator. So to start, I just want to point out you should have all of your drawings that you want to include in the pattern opened in Illustrator. And I had each individual drawing, I grouped them together. So I selected each one and Control-G'd. My drawings in particular are quite complex. I did make a video on drawings that are very complex. If your computer's having trouble copying and pasting, repeating this in the pattern mode, you might need to watch the video on how to simplify your drawings. And essentially, I just save these as PNG. And then also, I've also had a video on how to make a radial design, which this is just one symbol rotated around a circle to make this cool radial, almost like Mandela pattern. So I basically have taken this and changed the color a few times with the recoloring tool and copied and pasted them and kind of made some quick variations. So whatever you're using in your pattern, just open them in Illustrator. And one thing you have to do before you get started is you have to go into Preferences, either at the top or along the Properties panel. And you have to click this Transform Pattern Tiles. If you don't click that, then this method will not work. So make sure that is selected. And to start, we want to make a new file, and we'll copy and paste these onto a new file. We want to make it 8 inches by 8 inches. So make sure it says inches here. We need to keep everything like the same size and very, very consistent. So I'm just going to grab these and copy them and paste them onto my file here. And then I'm going to zoom out, and I'm just going to like shrink them down by holding Shift just to get them on the page. Okay, now to start the pattern, I am going to select my objects again and go up to Object, down to Pattern, and then to Make. So it's going to open the pattern mode here, and I'm just going to click OK. And it's going to show you what your pattern looks like repeated. You can go in this little window and you can change it around. Like if you need it to repeat more up and down, you can change how many times it's repeated. You can also change the dimness of the copies. They have it at 70%, but sometimes it's nice to see it at the full percentage. Also, don't worry about the background color yet. We're going to add that in after. So you don't necessarily have to keep this white or transparent. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to go in and make this width and height 8 by 8 as well. So we need to make sure it's consistent with the page size. So we've made our page size 8 by 8. And now I'm going to click off of this. The square, there's a little blue square. So watch if I change this. Whatever the value is here, this is the area it's going to repeat, whatever's in this area. So I want to make sure that it's 8 by 8. And every once in a while, this blue square, it won't align with the page. It'll be like off center or something. Just look at the blue square. You can ignore like the artboard. You don't have to pay attention to that, but pay attention to the blue square. And then you're going to start moving your objects around, and you should see them repeating. So with this, if I have something on an edge of the square, it's going to have to repeat down here. So whatever is going off the page here needs to come onto the page on the opposite side. This is coming on here, so it's going off the page on the opposite side. So this is the grid mode, but there's lots of other modes too that you can pick through. So I can flip through here and try some different layouts. And now with this one, it's shifting every row. So whatever's coming into the page here is going to repeat, down over here. So, and then this one's repeating, it's shifted left to right. So this is looking pretty blank. I'm going to zoom out, Control minus. I mean, it's kind of scarce. So I can go in and I can copy and paste these things. This is when it's helpful to have this turned down a little so I can see what was my original art, because I can only actually grab the original art. The stuff they're repeating is just there, like transparently there. So I can move this around and see what it's looking like. I can add in any shapes or drawings and things like that as well. So I can go in, let's say, and I don't know, add a circle If I want to, oh, that's very bright. So I can place maybe a circle behind something, send it to the back, all the same features you normally use. So like right here. It's just a little slow because it is, you know, using a lot to process and to make your pattern and repeat it. So see, I sent that to the back there, and you can rotate, you can add in other elements here and there. So what it's going to do is it's just going to repeat it over and over and over evenly. And then you can kind of flick through here and try different layouts. So you might need to move things around. You might add in other elements and see, okay, overall, what do I like and how, are there any weird gaps that I need to fill in? So once you're happy with your pattern, you need to make sure this stays at 8 by 8. Then you can click done. And when you click done, then your pattern will appear in the swatches here. So nothing's going to change on your artboard. You'll have to look in your swatches to see the change. And so what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to just click with my arrow tool and delete my original images. So once you see like there's a little preview of your pattern here, what you're going to do is you're going to just click and drag it onto the artboard. And it's not going to line up or anything like that, so don't worry about it. What you're going to do, though, is you are going to just drag it onto your page. And I can kind of see a little outline. Like this is the inner outline here is like where it cuts and clips the pattern so it will repeat evenly. And you can see like there's some of the pattern goes over that inner outline. So what we want to do is we want to open our layers, and this is where you just have to follow along. Go to Windows and Layers. Oh, mine are already open. They're just hidden over here. Okay, so I'm going to open up my Layers panel and open up my group. And if I go down to the bottom of this group, this little blank at the very bottom rectangle is what is containing my pattern. So in order to just select that, I'm going to click the little circle into towards the right of this layer or this sub layer. So when I do that, look, it just selects the inner border of my pattern, and you'll see some of the pattern will go off the edge, and that's what we want. So it's selecting the border of the pattern. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to Object, down to Artboard, and then Fit to Selected Artwork. So when I do that, it automatically creates an artboard with my objects going off of it. But when this repeats, this will be a continuous pattern. So from this point, I should be good to go to save my file as a PNG and upload it to Spoonflower. But the other thing is, if I want to add in a color in the background, I have to do that very carefully. It's got to be the exact same size as the artboard behind this, and it has to be aligned perfectly. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Edit Artboards. If you don't see this in your Properties panel, you can also go up to Document Setup at the top or at the bottom here and go into Edit Artboards. Basically, what I'm looking for is just how big the artboard is. And in this case, it made it 12 by 8. So I need to make my background color exactly 12 by 8. So I'm going to exit that. I just need to make note of that in my mind. And I'm going to go to a rectangle. And this time, instead of 8 by 8, it's 12 by 8. So I'm going to go 12 by 8. Hit OK. And then I can fill it with whatever color I want to. So I could go in here and fill this color. And then when I'm ready, all I want to do is I want to make sure that this is aligned to the artboard. So I'm going to go up to the Align tab. It's also right here. And I'm going to align it horizontally and center it there. So it's perfectly over top. I have to make sure there's no outline on either my swatch or on my background fill color as well. So it's got to have no outline. And I'm just going to right click and I'm going to arrange and send it to the back. So now it should be perfectly aligned with the pattern. And then to save this, I'm just going to go File. Always save this as an Illustrator file first so that you have your Illustrator document with your swatch saved if you ever need to get back to it. But this is like when I'm done and I want to put it on Spoonflower, I can export as, and then I am going to just, this fine. I'm going to call this Untitled 8. That's fine. And I have to click this box that says use artboards. When I choose use artboards, it's going to clip off those little pieces that were going off the artboard. And I'm saving it as a PNG, of course. And then here, I don't know if this actually matters, but I did read up on this, and they said in order for there not to have extra like white lines in your design, sometimes this helps. Usually 300 pixels per square inch is what's recommended for any high quality work. But they said just to be safe, try here doing custom. Where does it say custom? Other. Okay, and then 288 will be your best result to not have it when it repeats your pattern have any pixel seams or lines. So I don't know. You don't have to understand what that means, but just put it on other and put it at 288. And I'm going to make a white background. Okay, so finally on Spoonflower, I'm going to upload my design after I've signed in. And then what you're going to do is choose that file. And you might have to test this out like a few times if it's not working. You know, sometimes it does take a couple tries. And now I have to figure out where did I save that? To my desktop possibly? Yes. Untitled. There it is. Open. You have to click this box saying that it's not copyrighted, and then you click upload. And it does say, like, sometimes this takes a few minutes. So this is going to put your design in this design area that sometimes if they don't work out, you can always just upload a different design. But here, it's putting it here, and I might need to make it smaller, but I want to just look to make sure that everything's aligned. Zoom in to make sure you don't see any seams where the pattern repeats. But if you look here, it looks like it's clipped perfectly and it repeats perfectly. So if you move this, you might see, depending on what you choose, some seams. So you have to choose the correct one. This mirrored one does a pretty good job. It changes it completely though. The center one you don't want because it's just putting it there once. So usually under basic seems to be your best bet. And then, you know, you want to choose the size or the type of fabric is here. Depending if our class is ordering a test swatch or a fat quarter, it's a little larger. You just choose whatever it is you want to order. And then you choose the material. Satin's nice and shiny. Oh, the material changed this. I have to change it back. So it's on satin test swatch. And then you want to think, okay, this is 8 inches by 8 inches. You don't want it to be too small because you want to see the pattern, but you do want to see it repeat as well. So maybe something like this, and you can add it to the cart. Or for your website, you can just take a snipping tool and take a picture of this and put it on your website or put it on a mock-up on your website. So just go to new, and you can just upload lots of versions and save them. Just like that. So you can see your pattern repeating over and over.